Great. We're just letting everybody in. All right, I think I can get started. Welcome, everybody. I do see many of you joining, so maybe we could just wait 1 minute more as everyone is coming in, just to make sure we have everyone as we're starting. There are already a lot of people coming in. Hello to everyone. I do see some names that I know. I do see many of you that I haven't met yet. Welcome to all. And also hello to everyone who's going to be catching up on the recording. I do know the time is not right. I've had emails asking whether it would be recorded. And yes, you'll be able to. You're probably watching it in the recording now that I'm saying it, those of you who sent me emails around it. So we are very happy to have all of you here with us today. All right, so let us get started on this. So today we're going to be looking at Richard Branson, a seasoned entrepreneur who was even knighted for his efforts on developing entrepreneurship. So we're going to look at Richard Branson through the lens of BG5. And Boris and I had a lot of fun. We usually have a lot of fun working together and preparing things. But this was a good experience because no matter how much you study the information, when you see it like in actual life, knowing that like these leaders that we know, how they're living their design and how honoring their design is helping them be successful, probably more fulfilled, and serving the world and humanity as they're doing that, it's just this great acceptance. So we got to work on this. So we're glad on having so many of you join us today as well live. So very quickly, I know many of you know the name, but maybe not everybody knows the details of who he is. So we have just a little bit of details around Richard Branson. So he's a British entrepreneur, the founder of Virgin Group, and he actually has around 400 companies now under this group in a lot of industries. And we're going to be talking about how disrupting industries and innovation has been a big part of his design and how that has helped him. And not only on this plane, but also maybe going out of this planet as well and working on space travel even. So he's this entrepreneurial person that's very adventurous, charismatic at the same time, and he spends a lot of time on philanthropic efforts as well. He's got books. He's got a lot of adventures that we're going to be speaking about. And he has taken a lot of risks that paid off. So we will be focusing at his life, taking snippets from what we saw in his life, a couple of videos, maybe things, quotes from him, what he said, and seeing how that show up in his design. And with that, I think I'll just take a couple of minutes to introduce ourselves for those of you who don't know us. So I'm your host, Banu. I'm a teacher and consultant of human design and business, which I have been studying for almost 10 years now, very deeply. And I've been teaching it for the last 5 years. During my work life, I worked 25 years in the corporate world, mainly in the IT industry. And it's been about a year now that I'm fully checked out of my corporate life, bringing all my learnings with gratitude into what I do now. And according to human design, being a teacher is my life purpose, bringing transformation and change in people's lives. And I really enjoy this. And now having more time to do what I'm passionate about. And with that, I would like to give the word to my colleague Boris, who is co-hosting this event and many other events with me in the past, and hopefully in the future too, Boris. I'll give the word to you to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Banu. Yeah, it's always a pleasure to work with Banu because we fit very well together. She being the advisor, me being the builder. I think it's a great energy that we have, and we share that. Basically, I worked as well more than 2 decades, as well, roughly 25 years in a large corporate, mostly in the area of IT as well, finance, corporate audit, risk and controls. I've international experience, lived in multiple countries. Um, Global project management, global IT service management, supplier governance, crisis management, software license management, name it. Most likely, I've done everything. A couple of certifications in the business realm, offshore, remote, and on-site team management, and then many, many more things. And I'm a educated or the certified NLP coach, human design analyst, BG5 career and business consultant. Very passionate about OC16, so the large group dynamics, where I support Banu as well currently as a course assistant. And yeah, doing a lot of things around with human design, with BG5, with OC16 for businesses and teams. And there you have my information. Humandescender.com is my company name. And yeah, I'm happy and curious what we will learn more about Richard Branson and what Banu and I have seen and found about him. So yeah, let's get started.
Let's get started. Thank you, Boris. So, very quickly, I think the best way to start, us as BG5 enthusiasts, of course, is to take a look at this chart and just observe the things that we see. And then we will start diving into how that relates to his past business success and some other parts of his life, because he's a very colorful personality, I'll put it that way. Yeah. So let's just take a moment to observe the things now. So as you can see, he is a classic builder. So someone with lots of beautiful life energy that's there. Who's here to respond to things, obviously, but take his time as he's making important decisions. Looking at his design also, you can see that he is a messenger authority. So being the 5-1. So that is how he would actually fulfill his life purpose and the role he would play in life, being the person who's wanting transformation and change coming through the 5, and also being an authority in things and going deep and foundational and really knowing the basics around things as well. And we'll deep dive into these as we go along. The other thing that you can notice from his chart, of course, is his collaborative assimilation. So when somebody has, for those of you who are new, because I don't know the makeup of the group, maybe we'll go a little bit into the details, but when we look at somebody's design, when we see these energy islands, we can call them islands, these connections, yes? So there's one island of energy here, and then there's a broken, if you thought of it like a circuit board, it's broken here, and then there's another energy line here. So then there's a split in his design, making him collaborative, meaning he's here to collaborate, meaning he needs to take his time to really assimilate the information that's there, and then he could really act on it. And maybe, Boris, I could give you just a little bit on observations on his environmental style and the general thematics, and then maybe his strengths too.
We'll come further to that, the environmental style, how he likes, yeah, what's the best quote, quote, working place for him, which is partnership, small group and large group. And I mean, if you know Richard Branson a little bit, all his endeavors, all his world record attempts and things like that, he always worked and collaborated with other people. It's hardly anything where you can see him alone, being alone, doing things alone. So there is really his environmental style that kicks in, and his information assimilation, that he likes to deal and work with people. As well, I have somebody that I know that actually was with Richard Branson on Necker Island, his island in the Caribbean, and he actually cherishes being with other people that inspire him, that make him talk, that make him think. I think this is what's really in his design as well. When you look at the open inspiration at the top, that he likes to get inspiration and he likes to would work with people that inspire him. I think this is really visible in his design and as well in his environmental style. And yeah, we come further to these elements when we go through the presentation, what we have found. And maybe what Banu and I tried to do as well, and what you will see throughout the presentation is quotes. We have found a lot of quotes from Richard Branson about company leadership, emotional guidance, and things like that, that for us correlate very well to his design. So this is what you will see on the slides, that we always try to substantiate, quote, with Richard Branson quotes.
Yeah.
Back to you, Banu.
Thank you, Boris. Also noticing the few strengths that we're gonna also be looking into. But as you can see, he has a leadership strength. When we look at it, look at his personal design, just the body graph that he has. Yes, he's got leadership, and this one is more around being a democratic leader. Yes, listening to what your followers actually need and serving accordingly. And when you see his philosophies, and we're going to talk a little bit about the company culture that he set at Virgin Group, which circles a lot around that, trusting the people, the democratic leader that he is, honoring your people, knowing that they will actually do what they're there to do, and managing that accordingly. So in terms of just doing the research, he was saying, like, at his group companies, he made, like, you don't even have to ask your manager to go on vacation. If you need it, you just take it. So that's the level of democratic leadership that he is showing. And I think I'm just going to tie that into this interaction, because the 59.6, and we're going to look into this as well, is an OC16 management channel, or a strength that is very important in a large organization, in an OC16. And people who have these definitions, there are 6 of them. When you have one of these management channels in OC16 in your design, you're prone to be called into leadership positions within large organizations. So then looking at Richard Branson's design, no wonder, like, he's here to work collaboratively. So he first started off with partnerships. He then grew his companies, and he has small group definitions. So he was successful, but then he could really grow into a large organization and go into multiple companies because he has these strengths. And what the 59.6 means in terms of a leadership from an OC16 perspective, we are also going to be discussing at the end, because this is all about managing the emotional feel of the group through interaction. So with that, I think we can quickly jump in. I have brought a video just for us to have so we could see his, looking at somebody's design, of course, we're just looking at a chart. When you actually see the person talk, when you hear how their aura works, their vibration, how do they come across, I think it becomes different. And I noticed, like, I hadn't watched a lot of Richard Branson videos before. I know him, but I haven't really integrated myself to how his frequency rules. So we just brought a video that we could introduce all of you to his stance, his aura, and how he speaks. What actually I'm going to do is just a sec, get rid of this pointer. I'm just going to try to jump to my YouTube account, because I think if I press this, although I'm a premium member, it shows me some advertisements. So I'm just gonna.
Oh my God, guys, Richard Branson has just stepped me through the
But I just gotta ask, if I play this, would you get the sound? Boris, did you hear the sound when I played it? You did? Okay, then we're good. So I could just get this here and start playing it.
5 steps to build any business. So Richard Branson is the billionaire founder of Virgin Group, one of the most recognizable and diverse brands in the world. From telecommunications to transport, Richard has done it all and taken plenty of risks along the way, building more than 40 companies in over 35 countries globally. So the 5 steps that we discussed are identifying a problem, getting revenue in advance, working with the right people who believe in you, the importance of building a brand, and learning to take risk. Guys, you're not going to want to miss this one. So people are always asking me, how to start a business. If you were starting a business again today, what steps would you take? What things would you do?
I would wait until I saw something that frustrated me, and then jump in and yeah, try to correct it and do it better than it's being done, or do it from scratch. And that's basically what a business is just creating something that makes a positive difference to other people's lives. Yeah, and that's how I've set about it at Virgin. I never really thought of myself as being a businessman. I just look at you know, I hated flying on other people's airlines, so I started an airline. I wanted to get a piece of music out, and the record companies wouldn't put it out, so I started a record company. So just trying to do something for that sort of reason is often, I think, the best way of creating a business.
I was personally 15 years old when I
I'll just stop the video now.
found out
if I can.
about you.
Let's see. And we can just move this out of our way and then see if we want to watch the video again. But it was very interesting when I watched the video, just to see like how he says, I just found something frustrating and I fixed it. Like, oh my God, that really stood out for me. But I'll give it to you, Boris. I think in the following slides. Yeah. All right. So let's start diving deep. And then I think on the next slide is when we speak about this bit. So I'll give it to you, Boris, to discuss.
Yeah, because when you look at his design, we have seen already that he's a builder, a classic builder. And typically the signpost of a builder is either satisfaction or frustration. Frustration is the negative signpost, and yeah, happiness, and it's the positive side. So when you see him and you hear him talking, why did he found his companies? He was frustrated. He bought an airplane because he was frustrated with another airline that the service they were delivering. So he bought an airplane, a 747, and built Virgin Atlantic, the airplane or the airline company. Then he said as well he was frustrated that he couldn't publish his records that he wanted to do. So they wouldn't allow him. So he built up his own company, Virgin Records. And all of that is whatever you see is really out of frustration. And we always think about frustration is a negative signpost. It's something negative. It's actually not. And when you look at him, it's like the frustration was a driver for him to build all these companies, because he was frustrated that he couldn't do something, he didn't get something, the service was not as he wanted it to be for him being the customer. So he said, look, I can do it better. Let me do it better. Let me improve it. Let me prove that it works in a different way and better for the customers. So that's when you look at it, it's the innovative thing, like the three in his design that wants to do and innovate things. He has the drive and the energy to do it, and he has the open willpower. I want to improve. I want to do things better. I want to show off that I can do better. And all of that in combination is his driver for business. And it's interesting because it comes again and again and again. All his endeavors is like, I want to improve. I want to show. I feel frustrated that this doesn't work. Want to add something maybe, Manu?
For me as well. When I saw it, I'm like, I've been studying this for so long and teaching it, and we always talk about the builder's frustration. I never looked at it in this way. So it was an eye-opener for me how this frustration can lead into, okay, let's eliminate it, was his way of his approach to actually doing it. And that's like, wow.
And it's interesting because I'm a builder myself, and I know this feeling of frustration very well. And that is like really blocking my energy. And seeing Richard Branson, that he turns it around and say, I'm frustrated, so let me do it better. Let me change something. Let me work on it. Let me explore it, how I can do it better, how I can shape it differently. And that's a very interesting approach. That is like turning a frustration aspect into something positive, into something, okay, let me change it. And that is very inspiring.
So I think my learning from seeing this was, I know there are many consultants here or consultants to be. So when we work with clients, of course, when we come to the signpost and I'm speaking to somebody, I'm coaching like a leader on what they're frustrated in. I always want to bring attention to, okay, so what are you frustrated in? And then like take a magnifying glass and identify, bringing it to the awareness level. So then you can take some action around it. But my thinking had never been around, all right, let's turn it around and make it into a new business. So this is like a different level. So I'm really, really happy that we looked into this case because it gave me some new ways of thinking around how to work with builders myself. Yeah. And because you spoke about the frustration, I jumped around, but maybe you want to speak to this slide as well, Boris. I'll just come back to that one.
Yeah, I mean, a builder is typically engaging in life by having a reaction, a typical gut reaction. Something is like, and that's a feeling I have as well. It's like this inner energy that pulls me towards something, this upward forward movement is like, I want to do it. Typically, I nail it down to food. If I really like food, it's like this sound coming. And that is an absolute yes sound for me. That is like what drives me forward. And this is what he's talking about in a lot of his quotes, like being passionate about something, being enjoying life, being throwing yourselves into a job that you enjoy is one of the greatest pleasures. And this is what is a builder thing. Having the enjoy, the satisfaction, this going to bed in the evening and feeling like, wow, what a day. I've done something, I've achieved something. And that he follows as well his gut instinct, his gut driver, his gut reaction on instead of doing statistics and data analysis and things like that. That is as well like, yeah, he's speaking his design. He's like, there's a gut reaction and he's doing. What is interesting though is when typically when you're a BG5 analyst or human design analyst, like his authority or his decision-making strategy is waiting for clarity, which is the emotional side of things that you typically sleep over it. You typically think about it. You have like you channel it through your system and you let it sink in, simmer in until you reach a conclusion and a decision. He apparently has found a way of quote unquote being very instinctual, being like, sounds like an opportunity. I want to do it. And that is quite interesting. And then Banu and I were debating, is this now a not self thing that he is showing, or is it the true self of Richard Branson? And I believe it's his true self. He has found a way of really making his gut talk to him. And I like it. And that's what I see in his quote, that yes, he follows his gut instinct.
Yeah, so doing what you love is very important, obviously, for somebody who's a builder. I think what stood out for me was him walking out of school and he says, if I'm not interested in something, I just can't do it. I don't grasp it. I don't do it. So do what you love. Even in his early stages, obviously he had dyslexia. He wasn't really fit for schooling back then. But he had the courage to walk out into something that he loves. And it was an anecdote that the school principal told him, you're either going to end up in jail or you're going to be a billionaire when he left. So, so he became the person that he is, relying on his gut feeling and doing what he loves. We also had another slide. We said we were going to speak about the assimilation and the environmental side of Richard Branson. So Boris, would you want me to go over this one, or would you like to continue?
You can go. Go ahead.
Let me just comment a little bit, and then maybe you too. So it was very interesting that he, apart from all the businesses that he has led, all the companies that he's been in, he also found a lot of time to do the things that he loves, the adventures, the sports, and having fun is a big part of his work culture. It's even in his company culture documents, what he actually wants people to do at Virgin Group. And it's very interesting because him being collaborative, at the same time, him being having that dyslexia and knowing that he can't do things alone. It was very interesting. I think the first thing he did was actually to start publishing a magazine, which he didn't have money for. And obviously, when you're dyslexic, he's like, I needed somebody to write as well. So early on, because of his conditions as well, he found ways of collaborating with people. And that actually shows up in his life. So he also learned that to delegate is a big part of things. Yeah. So the way life took its way is he also learned to honor his collaborative assimilation early in time, working in partnership in the beginning. And later, all his adventures that he did, like when he did the hot air balloon, and then he went across Atlantic as well. He was always invited into things. So he was always invited into collaboration, and then he responded in a way. And then the assimilation always leads us into the environmental style, of course. So he worked in a lot of partnerships, and then those groups grew into small groups, and then they become larger companies. And in his design, as we saw, he has all these environmental styles as environments that he can thrive in. And I think he took advantage of it. But also trusting people is a big portion of his success. I think trusting his people and working with people who trust him in return. Any other comments from you, or can I move on, Boris?
You can move on.
All right. So now let's look at his, just a little bit into his, the public role. So how he displays himself or how he acts in the arena out there in the business world and being the person he is. So I think knowing everything that he's done, establishing an airline, the financial companies, the philanthropies, and wanting that change. Remember when we watched the video, how he was talking about how he wants transformation and change and saw what needed to be fixed through his frustration, and he just went and did it. So the line, the 5 quality is something that comes strong in his design, I believe, looking for what's next, looking for what needs to be transformed and changed, and sometimes burning at stake for it, because he had a lot of failing businesses as well. It's not like a smooth ride when you're an entrepreneur. So the line 5 in his design comes out a lot. Plus the line 1, getting to the foundation of things and knowing things. I think it's he really knows his businesses like inside out, and he was really going deep, especially in the first in the beginning when he started his businesses. And from everything that I've read in like the several videos and things that I watched, this humbleness of line 1 comes out in him. So he is like always respecting people, this humble person. So it's definitely there in his aura and how he puts himself out there. And then we also had a quote, it's foolish not becoming an expert at your passion, which he did. I mean, he was saying to do that balloon ride, he needed like a license to be able to do that. So he went through so many trainings, and also like flying and everything he did, and all the space stuff he did. So really going deep in a lot of things. So it is a big part of where his design comes out, the transformation piece and going deeper at things that he loved. So we also wanted to share this with you. And with that, I think, is there anything you wanted to add to this part, Boris, or would you like me to move to the next thing?
It moves very well over to the next slide we prepared, which is more or less looking at the at the trial and error, learning from trial and error. That is quite a number of his quotes as well. And here we have: you don't learn to walk by following rules; you learn by doing and by falling over. So it's in all his endeavors, and there were many endeavors. You have failed businesses, like Virgin Cola. He founded something that wanted to compete with Coca-Cola and Pepsi Coke. So Virgin Cola, and it collapsed. It like went bankrupt. People didn't buy it. It was a failure. Virgin Cars, he wanted to have like his own car fleet establishment and things like that. Virgin Publishing. So he had a lot of companies and businesses he founded, and they were not successful. But then you have a lot of others that were successful, and that is, he learned from all the failures, from all the mistakes. He learned and made it better. In all his world record attempts, either by the sailing or the first crossing the Atlantic, his first ship, the Virgin Atlantic one, sank in just in front of the English island, and they even had to be evacuated with a helicopter from the Navy, and then people were complaining about, why is he saved being the billionaire by the British Navy? So a lot of failed attempts and then successful attempts. Like the first balloon flying around the Earth didn't work. And the balloon collapsed, they crash landed on the ocean, and the second or third attempt then was successful. So this line 3 that you see in his past and future direction in the chart, and as well in the number of line activations, like 6 line activations of the 3, which is really the trial and error aspect of design. That is what we see, and it's on the conscious side as well, which is, yeah, where you can feel it, you touch it, you see it with people, and he just does it, and he learns from it, and next, and that's why he's so. I think that what keeps him as well alive, and being challenged, and wanting to do things new and change, and that is all his driver. I think with the 5-1 being as well this human design, the heretic, like being the one that sometimes gives a message that is new and different and not heard before. I think that's what I see in him as well. It's this very nice, gentle, humble person that has great ideas, and he makes the ideas work. And that's what I like about him.
Yeah, and Boris and I were looking at his design and tying to the stories, what we saw like in his through our research and looking at his design and how to map it, Boris pointed out the trial and error. And of course, the first thing you look is it in his public profile? No, it isn't. But then we noticed the line 3s. Plus, it's in his past and future direction in the 3. So when you look at it on the conscious side, this is people in your fractal who you're here to connect with, actually. So it's definitely people in the trial and error process that he's going to connect with. And him being collaborative as well, that kind of tied in. Like the balloonist that wanted to do the exercise with him, he was always invited into these things. He didn't come up with them, actually. He was responding to them, but connecting with these people in their trial and error process of wanting things and doing things. And I think another part that made this trial and error process stronger, he was talking about his mom. So she was also an entrepreneur who didn't take no for an answer, and she tried a lot of things. She would keep on trying, he said. So he might have also been a little bit of the conditioning that's there from him as he was being raised into the trial and error process. Plus, when we looked at his design chart, you would have noticed the completely open willpower. So then this can move in the extremes, of course, but really wanting to prove things or improve things. So going through that trial and error process so things can be proven, or to say, I've done it, or we have done it. Yes. He's definitely like a person that also speaks in the we, yes, being the OC16 person that he is, with the tribal definitions that he has. But these played into him doing the trial and error process that connected so well into his business endeavors and everything else that he did. Because also, like all the adventures that he did, so there's only one life. Yes, sometimes we talk about work-life balance, like work is different from your like personal life, but to him, and it should be, I guess, it's like all one thing. So he was saying, when I got invited like on the air balloon, it would have said like, it would have had our logo on the side. He said, I had to put myself out there to market our companies a little bit. And it's a lot of the reasons his adventures and stuff tying into the business world, because we're whole in the end. Yes, we're not separate beings. We are us. So he managed both realms very well to support each other. So doing what he loves, having fun along the way, and also supporting his business and everything that works for him came out strong to me when I was looking at his design in that sense. Now let's look at something else that we noticed in his design. So in his identity and direction, you can see he has 3 love traits that were defined. And when I looked at it, I said, do I see this in through our research? So as much as I know of him, where did we see this? So it was very interesting to see. So he's got love of humanity in the 15, and he's got universal love. So when you look at things, so number one, his family brought him to see the positive in people. Yes, loving people. It was also part of his conditioning, but sometimes you can condition all you want and the person is themselves. So you're a being. Yes, some things you pick up from your parents and some things you don't. This is something he obviously picked up because it's also in his design. So being this loving person in the work and towards the people he works with as well, seeing what's positive. And also all the things that he's trying to do for the planet, his philanthropic efforts. So that universal love and love of humanity definitely comes out in what he's done. And then he's a very sporty person. So I said, love of the body, of course, because he's always like at this age, he's not young anymore. He's like doing ice baths, going, if you followed his Instagram account, it would be very interesting to see like he's jumping up and down the mountain, swimming, doing all these other things, the surf, the tennis, still at the age that he is. So that love of the body is there no matter what the age. So that stood out to me in his design, that he's really living it in his life as well. So these are the things that stood out from his design. And with that, Boris, maybe I can give you the word to talk a little bit about his definitions in terms of the companies that he runs. So maybe I'll do a quick introduction because not everybody here maybe knows a lot about the OC16, which is a large business application of human design. So when we look at somebody's design to see their OC16 activation, so does this person belong in a large environment? So anytime we have 9 or more people, we use the OC16 knowledge to look at groups. And then anything above that falls into that realm. So you would run their chart into an OC16 power-based map to see how they get activated. If they have the management channel, like he has the 59-6 in interaction, it will show up. And then maybe they might have some of the activations and also other activations in the power bases. So this is in a nutshell what is showing us. So what stood out, and we're going to go into the details we're going to go into the details at the high level in a way, just show you high level what we see in his design. But obviously he was meant to work or build his companies into larger organizations, having these himself, having one of the management channels, but he also has a lot of the activations himself. He obviously enjoyed it and he instilled it into the companies that he works. Yeah, so with that introduction, Boris, I can give it to you to see to share a little bit about what we see in his design to map into this.
Yeah, like Banu already mentioned, it's a look at how Richard Branson is from a company head, a CEO, like perspective, and what kind of activation, what kind of strengths, what kind of skills he brings into that mix. So when you look at the company culture and what is on their websites and what he was saying about it, is that there's no magic formula about a great company culture. It's just you treat the staff as you would like to be treated. And that links for me as well to his quote, quote, unconscious 50 trait activation, which is values, which is like, how do I live my life? And I think respect and equal treatment and things like that are very important for him. The whole Virgin Group is known for this quote, quote, laid back. They still work and they work heavily and hard, but they have fun. They like their work. And it's a very inclusive culture. And it's encouraging creativity, innovation, looking at things differently, open communication. He's very approachable. That's what you hear from people. That's what you saw in the interview as well. Very humble person. Not like I'm like the CEO and I walk around and everybody has to, oh my God, the God is coming. No, he's apparently not like that. And he believes that happy employees create happy customers. That's my belief as well. Like if I'm in a good mood, that has a reflection on people that deal with me. I think that's what he is living as well. When you see him on his pictures, there's hardly any picture I've seen of Richard Branson that is not with a smile. He's kind of always smiling, always in a good mood. And he likes to break this traditional hierarchical structures and break that down and do it differently. And I think what you see as well, if you aren't making a difference in other people's lives, you shouldn't be in business. It's that simple. And for me, that's really this interaction strength, this organizing channel that he has, that working with people for people. I think this is what this quote brings clearly to light. And that is what when you look at it, and we go now a little bit into the different areas, this is what you would see. Oh, back to you, Banu, to show a little bit what
Yeah, so
interaction
just
means.
continuing on the business drivers. So in OC16, these are our business drivers and how the power bases line up. But obviously, the interaction bit is where he has his definition in terms of being called the executive positions. So obviously, when we look at any company, and Ra underlined this a lot when he thought both the BG5 and the OC16 classes, it's all constructed around the alpha. So who your alpha is very, very important. So when we go work with an alpha, doing leadership analysis, starting from their design, but then if you're going to help them with their current team, how to build a team, how they're going to build their business, this comes in very handy. And it's all built around the alpha's design and what are their dreams? What do they want to do? Those are important things, of course. So then looking at him establishing so many companies, wanting to grow, trusting other people, this interaction bit, which is actually pulling everyone together and regulating the emotional field. So if you look at it in the design, and I'm just going to come back here. So you see the 59.6 is tying to the emotions. And the whole power base is tied this way. So it is how we are coming together and interacting. What do we do at the coffee corner in the office? Yes. Or are we going to go on a company excursion together or a picnic? So that's where the interaction really takes place. How are we bonding to each other and how are the emotions regulated? And the culture set is a big thing in his design. So that really stood out in the way he established the culture of the company, celebrating the success, learning from failure, always praising people and not criticizing them. It becomes very important because if your alpha is always praising people, then it, of course, trickles down to the middle management or the other managers within the team, and it uplifts people, right? So obviously, he had some of these channels and he used these organizing channels very well into communicating to the others within the companies as well. And then it also stood out for us, the innovation piece. Yes. That is like, as you can see, we see these percentages. So how much of the power base does he have? It shows us how strong this is in somebody's design and him being the alpha. And then if you look at all the stories that we have listened and knowing what he has done in the business world, he's all about disrupting, trying new things, and innovating. And it shows in his company culture. So always wanting to innovate, always curious about innovation. How are we going to do things differently in a fun way? And he disrupts industries even with what he wanted to do. So these two things stand a lot in the way he ran his businesses, and of course we see it in his design. So if Richard Branson had come to us to do a consulting earlier in his years, we would have encouraged him to establish larger companies. We would have told him he could do that, being the leader that he is, and how setting up the company culture and innovation would have been important for him to look at. And of course, when you really honor yourself, you live your design, and it's your way, right? So, and he's a great example of how that's showing up. And maybe, Boris, I can give it back to you. Logical enforcement, your favorite area, because he has a definition there himself. So I'll give it back to Boris.
Yeah, that's my home ground. That's basically my activation as well in my design, logical enforcement in a large group setup, which is, when I explained it, and I was like, my last role in a large corporate I was working in was head of internal controls. And what is control? It's like controlling the environment, controlling that the controls are in place and are working and are executed. Now, he has a lot of activation, like 63% in logical enforcement as well, but it's not the way I would have called control. But he is saying the only way that you ever can control a company is controlling the brand and controlling the communication of the brand and controlling what it means, what the brand means, and what the brand means for me, like for the consumers, for the clients, for whatever it is. Otherwise, your competitors will do. So this is what he sees as control. And I think for myself, like the whole Virgin Island, the Virgin companies, the Virgin conglomerate with all the different sub-companies in it, Virgin Records, Virgin Travel, Virgin whatever, Virgin Bank and money and things like that. This is all different components. And this is what he put under one umbrella. With that umbrella, he controls very much the brand Virgin. And everybody knows the brand Virgin and what ultimately he stands for. He stands for this freedom, this freedom of speech, this kind of laid back, what we have just seen before. And this is his culture. This is the brand. And that is, I think, as well what goes down to management, which is another layer. It's the education of the people that are in the company, that they ultimately inhale what the company is about. Because at the end, and that's one of his quotes as well, the employees represent the companies and they deal with the customers, with the clients. So train people well enough so they can leave, meaning you give education, you give money, you bring them up, you raise them up, but then you treat them so well that they don't want to leave. And I think this is another quote that just stands out for me. This is this kind of interaction, this kind of building something, this kind of new thing, this kind of different thing. That is for me, yeah, it's very much in all the signs of Virgin. Whatever I read about Virgin is in there. And I think that comes from Richard Branson being the role model for the company. From the values perspective, from the way he does management, the way he leads, the way he talks, the way he communicates, the way he smiles, the way he interacts, everything is like built on that. So very much comes together. And
one other thing I want to just add to what you said, Boris, is sometimes, like, for example, as you see, management, it's not like strong activations, neither does he have any of the activations in the management in the 45 for 21. But obviously, this is a team play. We're talking about a lot of people coming together and their auras forming this transauric entity. That's the companies, the groups that he established that feed into this. And he obviously trusted good managers, other directors, to be part of his journey. And if you're coaching and working with alphas in time, what we can do as consultants is actually enable our alphas to take advantage of the whole power base, yes, the whole company, and establishing the right lines of communication so they can actually take advantage of the mechanics that are there in the background of all these people that are working for these companies. Obviously, he didn't know about this knowledge, but if you see somebody successful, they have obviously taken good advantage of what's there. Yeah. And we have one more slide. Well, we can look at these two together, and maybe Boris, I could give it back to you to get started, and then I'll comment on this one.
Yeah. I mean, another element where you see, okay, it's 25% of activation is competitiveness, which is a small circuitry anyway. So that is the conviction of a business. Where do we want to go? What is like the driver? Where we want to end up? That is a key essential thing for business success. And when you look at his quotes and what he says, like communicate your passion clearly, concisely, and with genuine conviction. He's even talking what is in there. And that is to me something possibly to everybody here. When you listen to these people and you start knowing human design or BG5 in the language that a type is using, you can hear the type quite often. So all his the hype and some other activations and things like that. And he's saying it's about conviction. And the future needs passionate, happy, and confident young leaders. So he even gives a perspective of how he sees the future and willing to challenge the status quo, willing to change, willing to transform, and to stand up for their convictions. Like, even if it's getting hard, even if it's like you run against the wall, break the wall, run through it, deal with your conviction. I think this is for me, yeah, it's a clear design of competitiveness for large companies. Yeah.
So maybe if I could add, from the name competitiveness, sometimes we understand because of the way it was named, maybe this is about going out there and competing. Like what do we do to compete the competitor? But what it actually means in the OC16 sense is, it is how we're going to behave. So 10, for example, the trait 10 is within this circuitry. This is around how are we going to behave within this company? How are we going to stand up for being us, that we be ourselves? And by behaving as us, we are automatically, of course, competing because we stand up for who we are. Okay? So this is the way we understand competitiveness, this circuitry or this business driver that's there in the OC16 sense. So then like this quote here really makes more sense to me around, how he would guide into stepping up to be you. So in the end, you differentiate against your competition and be the company that you are. Yeah. So that stood a lot for me as we were looking at things. And the last piece, the last business driver, that of direction, he has the two, the vision that's there, which is very important, of course. And he spoke a lot about this. So this is how we set the direction of the business and how the vision will come through. And it obviously has a big connection to the 14, which is the treasurer, has the key to the treasure of how we're going to unlock our finances to put behind the vision that's there. And he was, in one of his anecdotes, he was talking about selling ahead, the video I shared with you. It was the second point, I think he was advising on how to start up a business, and that was selling ahead. So he started like selling magazines that he was publishing before he ever published it, or even like the records he was going to sell, they weren't ready. He sold first, and then with the money that he sold, he actually went and made the product. So he definitely had a way of finding the finances behind his visions in certain ways. And it worked. Obviously, now he has like Virgin Finances there. And the reason they established it was coming again from one of his love of humanity and the universe. It was like, this financial industry is ripping people off. They're making so much profit. Why don't we establish something that will actually support people? And it became a success. So those are the things that stand out for me. And Boris, maybe you want to speak to a little bit to this and to the quote on the slide too, if you want it.
When you read the quote, it's for me like the vision, and that is possibly I want to apply it for myself, because I grew up in this large corporate, and it was all around planning and vision and mission and whatever, yada, yada. And every year the planning cycle was like, oh, okay, next. It was so tiring. And it's so true what he's writing. I mean, it's not that you write it all down. It's something you believe in. It's like a creed. It's not a handbook. It's not like a step-by-step thing. It's possibly one sentence you write down, and this is your individual call to action, and you frame everything around it. And that, I think, is his call to action was to build, to innovate, to change, to transform, to work for customers, to make the life of customers better. I think this is his calling, and this is what for me is quote quote the vision, the direction, and the plan for the Virgin companies. There is a customer mindset, and that is what all his endeavors, what all his work he put into these companies is like moving towards. And I hope it continues like that, because it's for me very inspiring that there is somebody that puts people first. Like for me, like my own thing is human in the center. Put the human being in the center. That's what it is.
And then the final, like the quote we wanted to share with you is, he said, "To me, business isn't about wearing suits or pleasing stockholders. It's about being true to yourself, your ideas, and focusing on the essentials." So ultimately, he's a guy who really honored himself first. And we can see how he lived his design in being the successful entrepreneur, businessman that he is. And he obviously values, like, being true to yourself is the ultimate thing that's important to him in life and business as well. And I think that's what we do as BG5 or human design enthusiasts and consultants. We are here to support everyone out there who's interested in being true to their self. Yes. And the knowledge is such a great tool in bringing awareness around how that can be done for a person. Yeah. So with that, I think this is all we have prepared for you. We're going to jump into like any questions, any comments that you have. And as we are passing through, we just have a couple of more slides we wanted to show you. So very quickly, Boris and I like talking a lot about OC16, and we have a program. You can find some videos. We publish them on our social media and also on the community platform. So you can subscribe to the community platform to watch more of these if you're interested in large business dynamics. I will be also offering some courses. I know many of you, some of you have reached out to me to ask for the courses. So there's a certification that I'm going to be offering in a couple of weeks. I'll be honored to be assisted by Veronique, who is a very seasoned business person and a consultant out of France. And for those of you who are interested in OC16, I'm going to be teaching it again in the January of next year. This year, Boris is assisting me. I am honored that you're with me on this journey, Boris. And as you see, I don't have an assistant. So if there are any of you who are watching and you have completed the OC16 certification, I'll be looking for a couple of assistants that can bring business knowledge into our classes. It's important for me, yes, bringing around how we observe, apart from the theory, people who can bring their observations from the business world. So if you're up to it, just send me an email as well. So I'd like to announce that here when I have a lot of you online listening. Yeah. And if you want to connect with us, please do so. And we will be opening it up to take your questions. But Boris writes beautiful articles on his newsletter. So if you want to subscribe to that, and I do also, and some of them we published through the Institute. Sarah was kind enough to integrate them into the BG5 Business newsletter as well. And let's keep connected on LinkedIn, yes, so you can hear more from us around the things that we are doing. And with that, I'm going to see if we have any questions, anything you want to ask. I'm just watching the chat. A lot of you are saying thank you. We're honored to have you here live. I'm very glad you enjoyed it. Alex, good to see you. Great to see you here as well. Lovely. So great. So if you have any questions around anything, around how we're observing, how we're applying, both to Boris and myself, please feel free to reach out. Yes, through our emails, through LinkedIn, or in any way, form. You can, and if you have anything about the classes, maybe you want to join our classes, Sarah and Alina are always there to help our students, or those of you who want to be students in going through the education. So please feel free to reach out to all of us. Yes, so Sarah put the email to the office, office at bg5businessinstitute.com. Well, lovely, lovely. Thank you to all of you. And we hope to meet you on another live like this, where we look at a real leader and have some fun while we're doing it. With that, I also want to thank you, Boris, for accompanying me on this.
Thank you, Banu. And thanks to everybody for listening in and joining in and listening to us. And yeah, I hope as well that you learned something or saw something that is inspiring, intriguing, challenging, new, fun, and whatever it might mean for you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Goodbye, everybody. Take care.
Bye.